Right, but in this video, we'll be ranking every single Premier League number 10. Let's get straight into it. So, starting off with Marcus Tavernier, I'm going straight in at B. If I watch Tavernier, he's a good player, someone that can keep it ticking up and down the pitch for Bournemouth, will chip in with a few goals and assists. The reason why I put him in B, in terms of a number 10 these days, you have to get output, and that's something that we're taking to and the impact on the team. I feel like when I look at Tavernier, his output isn't as great as other number 10s. So that's why I'm going to put him in B. Odegaard, for me, I have to put him in A. Similar thing, played a lot of games last season. Again, last season will have a part to play, but was also injured for part of the season when Arsenal kind of, you would say, needed him most. Got hooked in the Champions League final. When you needed your big player, your captain, he didn't step up. Now, taking that one performance aside, I do still really think he's a good player and does really have a big impact on this Arsenal team. If you're looking at a player that can make a elite level pass, can always link up play, he's always dropping so deep. He's the creator, the talisman for Arsenal, and someone that again has been so important for them over the years. I still think he's a top player, but again, I think he's A tier. I don't think he's an S. Manzambi, now he's obviously going to be Villa's new number 10, kind of replacing Morgan Rogers. Again, had a very good World Cup, very decent player. Was linked to Newcastle. Aston Villa hijacked the move. I'm going to put him at C. I think he's still young. I believe he's 20 years of age. He's got a big career ahead of him. See how he does at Aston Villa. I'm sure, he will work well under Unai Emery and he will get developed. I think he is a special talent. And you can see by his performances, not only last season, but also in the biggest stage in the World Cup. So for Switzerland, he's more of a 9, but can also play in the 10. He's a very versatile player. Mikael Damsgaard, also think he's a B. If you're looking at technical football players, Damsgaard does have it. I think he's really good. For Brentford, they're a good team. They'll be looking to get into Europe next year. I think when you're looking at Damsgaard's creativity, it's going to be something that's very important. Now, Jack Hinchelwood, again, for me, I think he's C. The reason why, Hinchelwood's at times played in number 10 for Brighton. I think when you watch how Brighton play, not a lot of it's, through Hinchelwood. And I think when you look at his performances, they're all right. They're not anything special. Again, he's still a young player, and he's still learning where his best position is. I know he's played in the fullback position a few times. However, I do think for me right now, that's where I'll put him in at C. Cole Palmer, now, he would be S if he had a good last season, but basing off last season going into this season, I have to put him in A. Cole Palmer's a really good player. Technically, as I said, very good. Can get forward, can score a goal. Very creative moments of magic. It'd be very, very, very excited to see how Cole Palmer does this season. It's a new system, new manager. He's playing with Morgan Rogers. There probably won't be as much pressure on him now. And again, he's a very, very technically good football player. And again, one of the best players in the Premier League over recent seasons. Last season was obviously great for him. But again, for me, I think he's a really talented player and still very young as well. So, yeah, if Chelsea again are going to be successful, it's going to be the likes of Cole Palmer and Rodgers into it. Don't know who that is. Jeremy Pino, again, B. Still only 23 years of age. Newcastle, Crystal Palace don't play with, out and out 10s. I think he's an alright player. Nothing more than that. Dewsbury Hall for me has to go just at the top of B. I think when I watch Dewsbury Hall, very tidy footballer, can score an odd goal. His career's been sort of reborn when he went to Everton. Very good signing for them. Obviously didn't work out at Chelsea. Did very well at Everton. At Leicester, now doing very well at Everton. I think overall he's a very good footballer, a very good dribbler. I think in terms of being better than Tavernier, I think he is, and I think he's better than Damsgaard. Maybe needs one more season to be breaking into A. However, I do think, Everton, he's the right fit for Everton, to be honest. Iwobi, again, also B. I think Iwobi's consistency, you just know he's going to play every single game. Might pop in with a few goals. With obviously Fulham losing Harry Wilson, there's going to be a burden probably put onto Iwobi now as one of the most experienced players to kind of put in some good performances. I think Iwobi is a good player. I think, Fulham are a team under a new sort of transition with Arbeloa coming in. I think Iwobi will be someone, he's like the ultimate utility player, can play anywhere across the front line really, in midfield as well, and could do a very good job at doing that. So, yeah, in terms of Fulham needing someone that can chip in with some goals as a number 10, I think Iwobi can definitely do that. Hull Cities, again, I'll be watching this season, same too with Sami Smodics. Tanaka, again, C. I think he's an alright football player. Florian Wirtz, I'm going to have to put him in A. Now, again, I know it said it's based off last season, which it is, but I actually thought he had a decent season. It wasn't, world class, £120 million worthy. However, I think for his first season in the Premier League, Liverpool were going through an up and down spell, not down to him. I think he did have a pretty good season. Chipped in with a few goals. We're starting to form sort of a connection with Ekitike before he got injured. Anytime I watch Liverpool, Wirtz would be someone that maybe wouldn't score a goal, but would come up with something magic. And I think next season, with a more stable team, with more, suitable players around him, I think in that number 10 position, he'd be a very important player for Liverpool. Cherki's going to be my first S. I think when you watch Cherki, he can just do magical things with the ball at his feet. Technically very gifted. Again, I think he got 11 assists last season. Cost City only £30 million. Again, under Pepe is very good. Under Maresca, I'm sure he'd be used over the likes of Foden. I think he's a really, really exciting player. And again, first season in the Premier League will only get better, will only improve. And again, it's down to Maresca to develop these sort of players and get the best of him, because Cherki can do everything. Left foot, right foot, cross into the box, Rabona cross. Yeah, he's got everything in his locker. I'm putting Bruno next to him now. Bruno, for me, over the last couple of years, has been the best player in the Premier League. Yes, obviously Haaland's been up there and Salah, but for me, Bruno's consistency over many years, as United have been going through up and down periods, has just been remarkable. I think he's a fantastic player. 21 assists now, the most assists ever by a Premier League player. I think he's fantastic, and you look at that United team, they'd be nowhere without Bruno Fernandes. I think take him out of the team, and we've seen what happens. His reliability, his output's ridiculous. The amount of chances he creates as well. He could have had way more assists last season. He was, top for Manchester United and has been since he's joined. And again, if United are going to be competitive, look to win trophies next season, Bruno Fernandes is going to have to play a big part in that, as I'm sure he will. Joe Linton, I think he's been. Now, when you look at Newcastle, they don't technically play with the number 10. They kind of play with a 6 and 2 8s. But Joe Linton's the one that does get further forward. I think Joe Linton, again, a lot of pressure on him now next season with Gameiras and Tonali gone. Apparently he actually wants to leave, so it'd be interesting to see whether he's actually going to be there come the start of the season. However, I like Joe Linton, the way in which Eddie Howe changed his position and altered his position from a striker, but he ultimately wasn't doing well and looked like a really poor signing, to being a very good, strong, energetic, technically very, very good midfielder. I think he's been a very key player for Newcastle, and again, one they're surely going to want to keep. Gibbs White, for me, I really do like Gibbs White. I have to put him in A. I think you're looking at the amount of goals he scored for Forest last season, his leadership qualities, his versatility. I think he's a really good player now. For Oliver Glasner, I think he's going to be someone that he does like in one of those two number 10 positions. If he plays the same system he does at Crystal Palace, I think Gibbs White, again, that sort of player that Forest have relied on for many years. Wood's been out of the team due to injuries. They've sold a lot of players. Brennan Johnson's, obviously he was at Spurs, but actually no, not Brennan Johnson. Who am I thinking? Who's that winger that they sold? I can't remember, but they've sold someone. Obviously they've lost Anderson. They're going to need wingers. And Gibbs White might not be the best winger. However, I think someone in that inside 10 coming in, having Nico Williams overlap, I think they're going to be a very good team. I really do like Gibbs White, and I think he will probably get a big Premier League move. Obviously, he was linked to Spurs last year. That move didn't materialise, but I very well think he can be in a big club. Xavi Simons, now, I think it was his first season last season. I like Simons, again, new system, new manager, hopefully get the best of him. Now he's going to have that solid foundation behind him. If you look at that Spurs midfield, you've got Tonali and Mateus Fernandes behind him. You got that, support, and he's going to have that ability to go forward now. Again, I could have put James Maddison there, but I think it probably will be Xavi Simons. Maddison will probably get minutes. You could potentially see Simons on the left, Maddison through the middle, but I think Simons is a really exciting player. And again, give him a couple more seasons, he probably could be higher. Jack Hinchman I've already done. And Enzo Lefebvre, for me, B. I think Lefebvre, very good player for Sunderland, chipped in with a few goals last season. And again, let's see how he does in Europe for a very good Sunderland side. But let me know your thoughts in the comments on that tier list.